Three little girls lost their mother. Not to sickness. Not to an accident. Someone took her from them. Left her on a cold street with nothing but cardboard to cover her. If that doesn't make your heart break, stay with me. Because this story gets even heavier.
Mother of a woman found dead next to a dumpster last week in Fort Lauderdale. Police charged a 34-year-old man with murdering her.
NBC6's Nico Clemens is live in Fort Lauderdale. And Nico, you just spoke with the emotional dad. What is he saying?
I want to tell you about a morning that changed everything for one community. It was early. The kind of morning where the streets are still quiet, the air is still cold, and most people are just waking up, pouring their coffee, getting their kids ready for school. Normal. Peaceful. But on this particular morning, in a neighborhood in Riverside City, something was very wrong. Someone called the police just before 7:30 in the morning. They had found someone lying near a dumpster on the side of the road. The person was a woman. She had no clothes on. She was covered with pieces of cardboard, like someone had just left her there. Hidden. Discarded. As if she didn't matter. When the officers arrived, they immediately knew this was serious. The area was sealed off. Investigators were called. Cameras were set up. Every small piece of evidence, every tiny detail, was collected carefully. They needed to know who this woman was. They needed to know what had happened to her. It didn't take long before they had an answer to the first question. The woman was 30 years old. Her name was Maya Johnson. And she was someone's daughter. Someone's mother. Someone's whole world. I think about this moment a lot. That early morning when someone stumbled upon Maya and realized she was gone. No one should be found that way. No one should leave this world like that. But Maya did. And now the people who loved her had to face that truth, and a city had to ask, how did this happen? And who did this? That's the story I'm going to tell you today. Before we go any further into the investigation and the arrests and everything that followed, I need you to know who Maya Johnson actually was. Because in stories like this, it's very easy for the victim to become just a name, a headline, and we forget that there was a real person behind all of it. Maya was 30 years old. She lived in Riverside City, and she had 3 young daughters. 3 little girls who called her mom. 3 little girls who needed her. By all accounts, Maya was deeply connected to her family. Her mother and her aunt spoke to reporters after her death, and what they described was a woman who loved her children, who was present in their lives, who was tied to the people around her. Her mother's name was Tamara. Her aunt's name was Linda. And when Maya died, these 2 women didn't stay silent. They came forward. They spoke to the press. They let the world know that Maya's life had value. They even started a fundraiser to help cover the cost of the funeral, because grief is already heavy enough without the added weight of financial stress. I want you to sit with that for a second. While investigators were out there collecting evidence, Maya's family was at home trying to figure out how to bury their daughter. How to explain to 3 little girls that their mom was gone. That's the reality behind every crime story. That's the part that doesn't always make the news. Tamara said Maya was a caretaker, a mom first. And her aunt Linda echoed that Maya was connected to her children, to her family. Her death was sudden and violent and completely unexpected. And the people who loved her were left with questions that no family should ever have to ask. Maya deserved better. Her daughters deserved better. And if nothing else, I hope telling her story helps give her life the weight it deserves. After the crime scene was processed and Maya was identified, the detectives got to work. And this part of the story is important because it shows how modern police investigations actually unfold, not like the TV shows, but slower, more careful, more methodical. The first thing investigators did was look at surveillance cameras. There were cameras on nearby buildings, cameras from local businesses, cameras from homes. They went through all of that footage, looking for anything, a car, a face, a movement in the dark. Something that didn't belong. They also started talking to people. Anyone who might have seen Maya in her final hours. Anyone who might know who she had been with, where she had gone, what her last day looked like. They were trying to build a timeline, piece by piece, like a puzzle where half the pieces are missing. But the most important breakthrough, the one that cracked this case open, came from science. From biology. Investigators found DNA evidence at the scene. And that DNA, once analyzed, pointed them in a very specific direction. 4 days after Maya's body was found, on February 22nd, police arrested a 34-year-old man named Derek Mills. He lived about 30 miles away, in a neighboring town. Here's the thing, he wasn't originally arrested for Maya's murder. He was picked up on something else entirely. But when detectives started looking more closely at the forensic evidence, when they matched that DNA, everything pointed to Derek Mills. He was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder. He was placed in custody with no bond, meaning he wasn't going anywhere. And for Maya's family, for the first time since that terrible morning, there was something that felt like the beginning of justice. But the investigation wasn't over. There were still so many questions left unanswered. Here's something that happens a lot in cases like this, and I think it's worth talking about honestly. When a murder happens, especially one this violent, this visible, fear spreads. And in the age of social media, fear spreads fast. Within days of Maya's death, posts started appearing online. People were saying there was a serial killer on the loose in Riverside City. Names were being shared. Vehicles were being described. People were tagging their friends, warning each other, telling women not to go out alone. The posts went viral. Thousands of shares. Thousands of comments. And I understand why. I really do. When something like this happens close to home, your mind goes to the darkest place. You want to protect yourself. You want to protect the people you love. So you share the warning. You pass it on. It feels like the responsible thing to do. But here's the problem. None of it was true. The police held a press conference. The lead investigator stood up in front of cameras and said clearly, there is no serial killer. There is no connected string of murders. There is one victim, Maya Johnson. There is one suspect, Derek Mills. And he is already in custody. He also said something really important. He said that spreading unverified information doesn't just cause panic, it can actually hurt innocent people. When a name gets shared online as a suspect, when a car gets described as the killer's car, real people with those names and those cars can have their lives destroyed. Because once something is on the internet, it's very hard to take back. The community was scared. Residents were calling the police station asking if it was safe to go outside. And the police kept saying the same thing. We understand your concern, we take it seriously, but the facts matter. Stick to the facts. That's a lesson that goes far beyond this case. In moments of fear, facts are our best protection. As I wrap up Maya's story, I want to be honest with you about something. Because I think honesty matters, even when the truth is incomplete. Derek Mills was arrested. He was charged with Maya's murder. He was held without bond. The legal process began. But there are things that investigators have not been able to answer publicly, at least not yet. We don't know why. We don't know what the motive was. We don't know what led Derek Mills to that street, on that night, near that dumpster. Police have said that at the time of his arrest, there was no known prior relationship between Mills and Maya. They didn't appear to know each other, which makes the whole thing even harder to understand. Investigators were going through phone records, through digital evidence, through everything they could find, trying to answer the question of why. But as of the latest reporting, that answer was still not public. And the legal process, as it always does, will take time. There will be hearings. There will be motions. Evidence will be reviewed. Lawyers will argue. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, Maya's family will have to keep showing up. Keep sitting in courtrooms. Keep reliving what happened. That's the part no one tells you about. Justice, when it comes, is slow and painful. But here's what I want you to take away from this story. Maya Johnson was a 30-year-old mother of 3. She was loved. She mattered. She had a mother who grieved her and an aunt who spoke for her and 3 little daughters who will grow up without her. And her story deserves to be told with care, not as a crime statistic, not as a viral post, but as a human life that was taken too soon. Rest in peace, Maya. And for everyone listening, hold your people close tonight. You never know what morning might bring. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the True Crime Cinema for meaningful stories that inspire and teach life lessons.